I beg your pardon. Can you direct me to Hindhead View, Mrs. Allison's?
This is Mrs. Allison's.
Oh, indeed. Perhaps may I ask, are you Miss Vivie Warren?
Yes.
I'm afraid I appear intrusive. My name is Praed.
Oh,
don't let me disturb you.
Oh, come in, Mr. Praed. Glad to see you.
Very kind of you indeed, Miss Warren. Has your mother arrived?
Is she coming?
Did you expect us?
No.
Oh, goodness me. I hope I am not mistaken the day. That would just be like me, you know. Your mother arranged that she was to come down from London, and I was to come over from Horsham to be introduced to you.
Did she? My mother has rather a trick of taking me by surprise. To see how I behave myself when she's away, I suppose. I fancy I'll take my mother very much by surprise one of these days. If she makes arrangements that concern me without consulting me beforehand. She hasn't come.
I'm really very sorry.
Oh, well, it's not your fault, Mr. Praed, now is it? And I am very glad you've come, believe me. You are the only one of my mother's friends I have asked her to bring to see me.
Oh, this is really very good of you, Miss Warren.
Will you come indoors, or would you rather sit out here?
Well, it would be nicer out here, don't you think?
Then I'll get you a chair.
Please, allow me.
Take care of your fingers. They're rather dodgy things, those chairs.
Do let me take an hard chair. I like hard chairs.
So do I. Sit down, Mr. Praed.
By the way, though, hadn't we better go to the station to meet your mother?
Why? She knows the way. Do you know, you are just like what I expected. I hope you are disposed to be friends with me.
Oh, thank you, my dear Miss Warren, thank you. Dear me, I'm so glad your mother hasn't spoken.
How?
Well, making you very conventional. You see, my dear Miss Warren, I am a born anarchist. I hate authority. It spoils the relations between parent and child, even between mother and daughter. Now, I was always afraid that your mother would strain your authority to make you very conventional. It's such a relief to find out that she hasn't.
Oh. Have I been behaving unconventionally?
Oh, no, no, at least not conventionally unconventionally. You understand? But it was so charming of you to say you were disposed to be friends with me. You modern young ladies are splendid, perfectly splendid. Well, when I was your age, young men and women were afraid of each other. There was no good fellowship, nothing great, only gallantry copied from novels and as vulgar and as effective as it could be. Maidenly reserve, gentlemanly chivalry, always saying no when you meant yes. Simple purgatory for shy and sincere souls.
Yes, I imagine that must have been a frightful waste of time, especially women's time.
Waste of life, waste of everything. But you know, my dear Miss Warren, things are improving. You know, I have been in a positive state of excitement about meeting you ever since your magnificent achievements at Cambridge. A thing unheard of in my day. It was perfectly splendid, your time, the third wrangler, in the mathematical tripos competition. Third place is just right, you know. The first wrangler's always a dreamy, morbid fellow.
It doesn't pay. I wouldn't do it again for the same money.
The same money?
Oh, I did it for £50.
£50?
Yes, £50. Oh, perhaps you don't know. Mrs. Latham, my tutor at Newnham, told my mother that I could distinguish myself in the tripos if I went for it in earnest. Well, the papers were full just then of Philippa Summers beating the senior first place wrangler. You remember that, of course. Well, anyhow, she did. And nothing would please my mother but that I should do the same thing. I said flatly that it was not worth my while to face the grind, since I was not going in for teaching. But I offered to try for fourth wrangler or thereabouts for £50. She closed with me at that after a little rumbling, and I was better than my bargain, having tied for third place. But I wouldn't do it again for the same money. £200 would have been nearer the mark.
Well, that is a very practical way of looking at it.
Did you expect to find me an unpractical person?
No, but surely it is practical to consider not only the work that these honours cost, but also the culture that they bring.
Culture! My dear Mr. Praed, do you know what the mathematical tripos means? It means grind, grind, grind for 6 to 8 hours a day at mathematics, and nothing but mathematics. I'm supposed to know something about science, but I know nothing except the mathematics it involves. No, I can make calculations for engineers, electricians, insurance companies, and so on, but I know next to nothing about engineering, or electricity, or insurance. Outside mathematics, lawn tennis, eating, sleeping, cycling, and walking, I'm a more ignorant barbarian than any woman could possibly be who hadn't gone in for the drivers.
What a monstrous system! I knew it. I felt at once it meant destroying all that made womanhood beautiful.
Oh, I don't object to it on that score in the least. I'll turn it to very good account, I assure you.
In what way?
Oh, I'll set up chambers in the city and work at actuarial calculations and conveyancing. Under cover of that, I'll do some law, with one eye on the stock exchange all the time. I've come down here by myself to read law, not for a holiday as my mother imagines. I hate holidays.
You make my blood run cold. Are you to have no romance, no beauty in your life?
No, I don't care for either.
You can't mean that.
Yes, I do. I like working. I'm getting paid for it. When I'm tired of working, I like a comfortable chair, a cigar, a little whiskey, and a novel with a good detective story in it.
I don't believe it. I'm an artist and I refuse to believe it. My dear Miss Warren, you haven't discovered yet, I see. What a wonderful world art can open up for you.
Oh, yes, I have. Last May, I spent 6 weeks in London with Honoria Fraser. Mamma thought we were doing a round of sightseeing together, but I was really at Honoria's chambers in Chancery Lane every day, working away at actuarial calculations for her. I wasn't helping her as well as a greenhorn could, but in the evenings, we smoked and talked, I never dreamt of going out except for exercise. And I never enjoyed myself more in my life. I cleared all my expenses and got initiated into the business.
But bless my heart and soul, do you call that art?
No, wait a bit. Now I went up to town on an invitation from some artistic people who live on Fitzjohn's Avenue. One of the girls was a Newham shop. Well, they took me to the National Gallery.
Les artistes.
To the opera.
Molto
to
bellissimo.
a concert where the band played all evening. Beethoven, Wagner, and so on.
Superb.
I wouldn't go through that experience again for anything you could offer me. I held out, for civility's sake, until the 3rd day, and then I said plump out that I couldn't stand any more of it, and went back to Chancery Lane. Now you know the sort of perfectly splendid modern young lady I am. How do you think I'll get on with my mother?
Well, I hope.
Oh, it's not so much what you hope, it's what you believe that I want to know.
Well, frankly, I'm afraid your mother will be a little disappointed. Not in any shortcoming on your part, I don't mean that, but, well, you are so far from her ideal.
Her what?
Her ideal.
Do you mean her ideal of me?
Yes.
Well, what on earth is her ideal like?
Well, you must have observed this one. That people who are disappointed in their own upbringing generally think that the world would be all right if everybody else would have been brought up quite differently. Now, your mother's life has been, well, I suppose you know.
No, don't suppose anything, Mr. Praed. I hardly know my mother. Since I was a child, I have lived in England, at school, or college, or with people paid to take charge of me. I've been boarded out all my life. My mother has lived in Brussels or Vienna, and never let me go to her. I only see her when she visits England for a few days and out again. I don't complain. It's been very pleasant. Well, because people have been very good to me, and there's always been plenty of money. But don't imagine I know anything about my mother. I know far less than you do.
Well, in that case. But what nonsense we are talking. I'm sure you and your mother will get along capitally. What a charming little thing.
If, by changing the subject like that, Mr. Praed, you think you are doing anything but confirming my worst suspicions, you must take me for a much greater fool than I hope I am.
Your worst suspicions, oh, please don't say.
Why won't my mother's life bear being talked about?
Well, it is natural that I should have a certain delicacy in talking about my old friend's daughter about her behind her back. Now, you'll have plenty of opportunity to talk to her when she comes. I wonder what is keeping her.
No, she won't talk about it either. However, I won't press you. Only mark this, Mr. Praed. I strongly suspect there will be a battle royal when my mother hears about my Chancery Lane project.
I'm afraid there will.
Oh, I'll win the battle, mind you. Besides, I have no mysteries to keep up. It seems she has. I'll use that advantage over her if necessary.
No, you do no such thing.
But then tell me why not.
I really cannot, but I appeal to your good nature. Besides, you may be too bold. Your mother's not to be trifled with when she's angry.
No, you can't frighten me, Mr. Praed. In that month at Chancery Lane, I had the opportunity of taking the measure of one or two women, very much like my mother, who came to consult Honoria. You may back me to win. But if I hit harder in my ignorance than I need, remember that it was you who refused to enlighten me. Now let's drop the subject. Oh, here they are. How are you, Mother? Mr. Praed's been here waiting for you.
Well, if you've been waiting, Paddy, it's your own fault. I thought you had the gumption to know that I was coming by the 3:10 train. Vivie, put your hat on, dear. You'll get sunburned. Oh, I forgot to introduce you. Sir George Crofts, my little Vivie.
May I shake the hand of the young lady who I've known my reputation for very long as the daughter of one of my oldest friends?
If you like. You have it, I get another chair.
think of her?
Well, she's got a powerful fist. You shake hands with her, Praed.
Yes, it will pass off presently.
I hope so. Oh, allow me.
Let Sir George help you with the chairs, dear.
Please.
Here you are. Would you like something to drink with?
I'm dying for a drop to drink.
Oh, I'll go and do something now.
Look at him, Praed. He looks cheerful, don't he? He has been worrying my life out these 3 years to have that little girl of mine shown to him. And now that I've done it, he's quite out of sorts. Come on, George. Sit up. Take your stick out of your mouth.
I think you know, if you don't mind me saying so, that we better get out of the habit of treating her as a little girl. You see, she really has distinguished herself, and I'm not sure from what I've seen of her that she's not older than any of us.
Listen to him, George. Older than any of us. My, she has been stuffing you nicely with her importance.
Yes, but young people are particularly sensitive about that sort of thing, being treated in that way.
Yes. And young people have to get all that nonsense taken out of them, and a good deal more besides. Don't you interfere, Praed. I think I know how to treat my own child as well as you do. What's the matter with you? What does he take it like that for?
You're afraid of Praed.
What? Me? Afraid of dear old Praed? Why, a fly wouldn't be afraid of him.
You're afraid of him.
I'll trouble you to mind your own business and not try any of your sulks on me. Anyhow, I'm not afraid of you. And if you can't make yourself more agreeable, you'd better head on home. Come home, Praed, dear. Oh, I know it was only your tender-heartedness. You're afraid I'll bully her,
You think I'm offended, Kitty? I am not. But you know, I often notice things that escape you. And though you've never taken my advice, you sometimes admit afterwards that you ought to have taken it.
Oh, well, what do you notice now?
Only that Vivie is a grown woman. Please, Kitty, treat her with every respect.
Respect? What? Treat my own daughter with respect?
Mother, will you come up to my room and clean up before tea?
Yes, dearie. Oh, Praed, don't be cross.
I say, Praed.
Yes?
I want to ask you a rather awkward question.
Certainly, yes.
Kealey ever told you who that girl's father is?
Never.
Have any suspicions as to who it might be?
None.
Look here, I know of course you might feel bound not to tell Kealey ever said anything to you, but it's very awkward being uncertain about it now. We see the girl every day. We don't know exactly how we ought to feel towards her.
What difference does it make? We take her on her own merits. What does it matter who her father was?
Then you know who he was.
I said no just now. Did you not hear me?
Look here, Praed. I only ask you as a particular favour to me. So if you do know, no, I only say if you know, you could at least set my mind at rest about her. Because the fact is, I feel attracted towards her.
What do you mean?
Don't be alarmed. It's quite a perfectly innocent feeling. That's what puzzles me about it. Why, for all I know, I might be her father.
Impossible.
Why, you know for certain that I'm not?
I know nothing about it, I tell you, any more than you. But really, Cross, no, it's out of the question. There's not the least bit of resemblance.
As for that, there's no resemblance between her and another that I can see either. Suppose she's not your daughter, is she?
Really, Crofts?
No offense, Praed. It's quite allowable between two men of the world.
Can you listen to me, my dear Crofts? I have never had anything to do with that side of Mrs. Warren's life. Never had. She had never spoken to me about it, and, of course, I've never spoken to her about it. Your delicacy will tell you that a handsome woman needs friends who are not, well, not on that footing with her. You're probably on much more confidential terms with her than I am. Surely you could ask her that question yourself.
You know, I have asked her often enough. She's so determined to keep that child all to herself. She denied it ever had a father. There's nothing to be got out of her that anyone could believe, anyhow. I'm thoroughly uncomfortable about it, Praed.
Well, since you are old enough to be her father, I think we can agree that we both regard Mrs. Vivie in a parental way as a young woman whom we are bound to protect and help. All the more since her real father, whoever he was probably a blackguard. What do you say?
I'm no older than you are, Praed.
Oh, yes, you are, my dear fellow. You were born old. I was born a boy. I've never felt the assurance of being a grown-up man in all my life.
George, Freddie, tea.
She's calling us. Come on.
Hello, Praed, how are you?
Frank Gardner.
What on earth are you doing? I'm staying with my father.
Your father?
Yeah, he's the rector here. I'm living with my family this autumn for the sake of the economy. You see, things came to a crisis in July. My father had to pay my debts.
Oh.
He is stone broke as a result, and so am I. Now, what are you doing around here? Do you know the people around this part?
Yes. Spending the afternoon with Miss Warren.
Do you know Vivie? Oh, isn't she a wonderful girl? I'll teach you how to shoot with this. I am so happy that she knows you. You are just the sort of person that she ought to know.
Yes, I'm an old friend of her mother's. Mrs. Warren wrote me over to make her acquaintance.
The mother? Is she here too?
Yes, she's inside the tea.
Freddie, tea will get cold.
Yes, Mrs. Warren, in a minute. I've just met a friend here.
What?
A friend.
Oh, very well then. Bring him in.
Will you come in?
Was that Vivie's mother?
Yes.
Do you think she'll like me?
Oh, I've no doubt you'll make yourself popular as usual. Why don't you come in and try?
Oh, now hold up a bit. I want to take you into my confidence.
Oh, pray don't. It'll only be some fresh folly like the barmaid at Red Hill.
No, Praed, this is ever so much more serious than that. Now, you say you only just met Vivie for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, you have no idea what sort of a girl she is. Such character, such sense and cleverness. I do tell you, Praed, she is clever. And the most loving little heart that I have ever known.
I say, Praed, what are you doing out there? Do come along.
Sort of chap would take a prize in a dog show, ain't he? Who's that?
Sir George Crofts, an old friend of Mrs. Warren's.
Frank?
The father. Yes, Governor. Look here, Praed, you better go on to tea. I will join you shortly.
Very well.
Well, sir, who are your friends here, if I may ask?
That's all right, Governor. Come in.
No, sir. Not until I know whose garden I am entering.
It's all right. It's Miss Warren's.
I have not seen her at church since she arrived.
Of course not. She's a third wrangler, ever so intellectual. Well, took a higher degree than you did. So why should she go to hear you preach?
Don't be disrespectful, sir.
Oh, it don't matter. Nobody can hear us. Come in. Now, I want to introduce you to her. She's charming. Now, do you remember the advice you gave me last July, Governor?
Yes? I advised you to conquer your idleness and flippancy, and to work your way into an honorable profession, and to live on it, and not upon me.
No. That's what you thought of afterward. What you really said was that since I had neither brains nor money, I better use my good looks and marry somebody with both. Well, Miss Warren has brains. You cannot deny that.
Brains are not everything.
Well, certainly not. There is the money.
I was not thinking of money, sir. I was speaking of greater things. Social position, for instance.
I don't care a rap about that.
But I do, sir.
Well, nobody wants you to marry her. Anyhow, she seems to have what amounts to a high Cambridge degree and as much money as she wants.
I doubt whether she has as much money as you would want.
Oh, come. I've not been so very extravagant. What? I live ever so quietly. I don't drink. I don't bet. Much. And I never go regularly on the razzle-dazzle as you did when you were my age.
Shh! Silence, sir!
Well, you told me yourself, when I was making ever such an ass of myself with that farm meet up at Redhill, that you once offered a woman £50 for the letters you wrote.
Frank! For heaven's sake. You are taking an ungentlemanly advantage of what I confided to you for your own good to save you from an error you would have repented your entire life. Take warning from your father's follies, sir, and don't make them an excuse for your own.
Now, did you ever hear the story about the Duke of Wellington and his letters?
No, sir, and I don't want to
The
hear
old-time Duke didn't throw away £50. No, sir. He simply wrote, "My dear Jenny, publish and be damned. Yours affectionately, Wellington." But that is what you should have done.
Frank, my boy, when I wrote those letters, I put myself into that woman's power. When I told you about them, I put myself, to some extent, I'm sorry to say, in your power. She refused my money with these words, which I will never forget. Knowledge is power, she said, and I never sell power. That was more than 20 years ago, and she has never made use of her power or given me a moment of uneasiness. You are behaving worse toward me than she ever did, Frank.
I dare say. Did you preach at her the way you preach at me every single day?
I leave you, sir. You are incorrigible.
Ow. Did you tell them I won't be home for tea, will you, Gardner? Like a good fellow.
Oh, is that your father, Frank? I do so want to meet him.
Oh, father, Miss Warren.
Very glad to see you here, Mr. Gardner. And let me introduce...
Why, it's Sam Gardner. Going to the church? Well, I never will. Don't you know us, Sam? It's a George Crofts, large as life and twice as natural. Don't you remember me?
I really...
Oh, of course you do. Why, I have a whole album of your letters still. I came across them just the other day.
Miss... that's all, I believe.
Nonsense. It's Mrs. Warren. Don't you see my daughter over there?
Yesterday a child came out to wander, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted bodies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle game. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like, when you're older, must appease her. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle game. 16 springs and the 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to car wheels through the town, and they tell her, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet just as slow the circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. So the years spin by, and now the child is 20. There were dreams I've lost, a lot of grandeur coming true. There'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams, and plenty before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look behind from where we came, and go round and round and round in the circle game. And go round and round and round in the circle game. And go round and round and round in the circle game.
Oh, I don't know which is worse about the country, the walking or the sitting at home with nothing to do. Could do with a whiskey and soda about now. Only they had such a thing in this place.
Perhaps Vivie's got some.
Oh no, what would a young girl like her be doing with such things? Never mind, it don't matter. I wonder how she passes her time here. I'd rather be in Vienna.
Let me take you there.
Go on. I'm beginning to think you're a chip off the old block. What would you know about such things? You're only a boy.
Do come to Vienna with me.
No, thank you. Vienna's no place for you. At least not until you're a little older. Now see here, little boy. I know you through and through by your likeness to your father, better than you know yourself. Don't you go putting any silly ideas into your head about me, do you hear?
I'm afraid I can't help it, Mrs. Warren. It runs in the family.
I shouldn't have done that. I admit it. No, never you mind, my dear. It was just a motherly kiss. Oh, well, make love to Vivie, hmm?
So I have.
What?
Vivie and I are just ever such chums.
What do you mean? Now see here, little boy. I'll not have any young scamp tampering with my little girl. Do you hear? I won't have it.
Now, my dear Mrs. Warren, don't you be alarmed. My intentions are honourable. Ever so honourable. And your little girl is jolly well able to take care of herself. What? She don't need looking after half as much as your mother.
You have got a nice, healthy 2 inches of cheek all over you. I don't know where you got it. Not from your father, anyhow. Do, gentlemen's company. Now remember, it's
Quite important, yes. Well,
whatever became of the 2 of you? Where's Vivie and Praed?
they went up the hill. We went to the village. I wanted a drink.
She shouldn't go off like that without letting me know. Oh, George, where are you going to stay tonight? You can't stay here. And what about Praed?
Oh, Gardner will put me up.
Yes, no doubt you've taken care of yourself. But what about Praed?
I don't know. Suppose he'll have to stay at the inn.
Have a good room for him, Sam.
Well, you see, as rector here, I'm not free to do as I like, exactly. What is Mr. Praed's social position?
He's all right. He's an architect. What an old stick in the mud you are, Sam.
Yeah, it's all right, Gardner. We'll just stick him in Georgina's old room.
Oh, very well. He's settled then. Now, if only those 2 would come back and let us have supper. No right, staying out after dark like this.
What harm are they doing you?
Harm or not, I don't like it.
I would have went up for him, Mrs. Warren. Praed will stay out as long as possible. You see, he's not known what it's like to stray out on the summer's heath on a warm day with my baby.
I say.
Frank, once and for all, it's out of the question. Mrs. Warren will tell you that it's not to be thought of.
Is that
course not.
so, Mrs. Warren?
I don't know, Sam. If a girl wants to be married, no good can come of keeping her unmarried.
Married to him? Your daughter to my son? It's impossible.
Of course it's impossible. Don't be a fool, kid.
Why not? Isn't my daughter good enough for your son?
Surely, my dear Mrs. Warren, you know the reason.
I know no reason. And if you know of any, you can tell them to the lad. Or to the girl. Or to your congregation, if you'd like.
You know that I couldn't tell anyone the reason. But my boy will believe me when I tell him there is a reason.
Oh, quite right. But tell me, has your boy's conduct ever been influenced by your reason?
You can't marry her, and that's all there is to it.
Got to do with it.
Precisely what I was going to ask myself.
No, I suppose you don't want to marry the girl to a man younger than herself, without either a tuppence or a profession to keep her on. Ask Sam if you don't believe me. How much more money are you going to give him, sir?
Not another penny. He's had his patrimony and he spent the last of it in July.
Don't you? This is ever so mercenary. Now, do you think Miss Warren's going to marry for money? If we love one another.
Oh, thank you. I'm afraid your love is a pretty cheap commodity, lad. If you've no means of keeping a wife, that settles it. You can't have Vivie.
Well, what do you say to that, Governor? Eh?
I agree with Mrs. Warren.
And good old Crofts has already expressed his opinion.
Now look here.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry to surprise you, Crofts, but you've already allowed yourself the liberty of speaking to me like a father a moment ago. One father is enough, thank you.
No.
Miss Warren, I refuse to give up my baby even for your sake. And as you no doubt intend to hold out other prospects to her,
Wherever have you been, Vivie?
On a hill.
You shouldn't talk like that without letting me know. I mean, how could I tell what had become of you? With night coming on, too.
Now, about supper. I'm afraid we'll be rather crowded in there.
Did you hear what I said, Vivie?
Yes, Mother. Now, how many are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 2 will have to wait until the rest are done. Mrs. Allison only has plates and knives for 4.
I'm afraid I'm a bit of a bother.
But you have had a long walk and are hungry, Mr. Praed. You will have your supper at once. I can wait. Frank, are you hungry?
not at all.
Neither you, George. You can wait.
I haven't eaten anything since tea. Can't Sam do it?
Now, will you start my poor father?
Allow me to speak for myself, sir. I am perfectly willing to wait.
There's no need! Only 2 need wait. my mother in, Mr. Gardner? Can you squeeze past to that corner there, Mr. Praed? It's rather a tight fit. Oh, take care of your coat against the whitewash. That's right. Now, are you all comfortable?
Right, righto.
Keep the door open, dearie. Oh, Lord, what a draught. You'd better shut it.
Got rid of that?
Thank you.
Well, Vivens, what do you think of my Gardner?
I've hardly spoken to him, but he doesn't strike me as being a particularly able person.
Well, the old man is not altogether such a fool as he looks. You see, he's the rector here, and in trying to live up to it, makes a far bigger fool of himself than he already is. No, the old man ain't so bad, poor old chap. I don't dislike him half as much as you might expect. He means well. How do you think you'll get along with him?
Oh, I don't imagine my future life will be much concerned with him, or with any of that old circle of my mother's, except perhaps Praed. What do you think of my mother?
Really and truly?
Yes, really and truly.
Well, she's ever so jolly. She's rather a caution, isn't she? And Crofts. Oh, my Crofts.
If I thought that I was like that I was going to be a waster, shifting along from one meal to another with no purpose and no character and no grit in me, I'd open an artery and bleed to death without a moment's hesitation.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. Now, why should they have to work when they can afford not to? Wish I had the luck. Nah, what I object to is the form. It's slovenly. Ever so slovenly.
And do you think your form will be any better when you're as old as Crofts if you don't work?
Well, of course I do. Ever the much better. Now, Vivens mustn't lecture because the little boy's encouraging.
Oh, be off with you. Vivens is in no humour for petting a little boy this evening.
Well, how unkind.
Oh, be serious. I'm serious.
Well, let's talk learnedly then, Miss Warren. For instance, did you know that all of society's most advanced thinkers are agreed that half the diseases of modern civilization stem from starvation of affection in the young?
Have you room for Frank in there? He's complaining of starvation.
Vivie!
We have. Here, come along, Frank.
A little boy will be ever so even with his Vivens for this.
Vivie, you too, child. You must be famished.
What are you doing encouraging that young pup?
Now see here, George. What are you up to with that girl? I've been watching the way that you look at her. And remember, I know you and what your looks mean.
There's no harm in looking at her.
I would put you out and pack you back to London pretty quick if I saw any of your nonsense. My girl's little finger means more to me than your whole body and soul. And make your mind easy. That boy has no more chance with her than you have.
Oh, man, take an interest in a girl.
Not a man like you.
How old is she?
Never mind how old she is.
Why do you make such a secret of it?
Because I choose.
Well, I'm not 50 yet, and my property is as good as it ever was.
Yes, because you're as stingy as you are vicious.
You do. No man in my position would put up with you for a mother-in-law. Why shouldn't she marry me?
You?
Well, why not? We three can live quite comfortably. I'll die before her, leave her a bouncing widow with plenty of money. Why not? It's been growing in my mind ever since I've been walking with that fool in there.
Yes, it would be the sort of thing that would grow in your mind.
Now, come, Kitty, you're a sensible woman. You needn't put on any moral airs with me. Now, look, I'll ask no more questions, and you need answer none. I'll settle the whole property on her, and on the wedding day, if you want a check for yourself, you can name any figure you like. And within reason.
So it's come to that with you, George, Like all the other worn-out, old creatures.
Damn you!
Where's Sir George?
Oh, he's gone out for a smoke. Well, dear, did you have a nice supper?
You know what Mrs. Allison's suppers are. Poor Frank. Was all the beef gone? Did you get nothing but bread and cheese? Oh, her butter is really awful. I must get some from the store.
Right, my boy, I must be thinking of home. Your mother does not yet know that we have visitors.
I'm afraid we're a bit of a bother.
I'm not the least in the world, Praed. My mother will be delighted to see you. You see, she is a genuinely intellectual, artistic woman who sees no one from one New Year's end to the next except the Gardner. So you can only imagine how dull life is for her. Come, you can take Mr. Praed home while I will stay here and entertain Mrs. Warren. You can find Mr. Crofts in the garden, he'll be excellent company.
Now, you come along with us, Frank. Mrs. Warren has not seen Miss Vivie for a long time, and we prevented them from having a moment together.
Oh, quite right. I forgot. Ever such thanks for reminding me. Perfect gentleman, Praed.
Good night.
Good night.
Come along, sir, at once.
Now, dear Mrs. Warren.
Good night, good night. Oh, Lord, did you ever in your life hear anyone rattle on so? Isn't he a tease? Now that I think of it, dearie, don't you go encouraging him. I'm sure he's a regular good-for-nothing.
Yes, I'm afraid poor Frank is a thorough good-for-nothing. That man Crofts doesn't seem to me to be good for much either, is he?
What do you know of men, child, to talk that way about them? Oh, you'll have to make up your mind to see a good deal of Sir George Crofts, as he's a friend of mine.
Why? Do you expect that we'll be together much? You and I mean.
Of course. Until you're married, you're not going back to college again.
Do you think my way of life would suit you? I doubt it.
Your way of life? What do you mean?
Has it really never occurred to you, Mother, that I have a way of life like other people?
What nonsense is this? Don't be a fool, child.
That's all you have to say on the subject.
Now hold your tongue. Don't you keep on asking me questions like that. You and your way of life, indeed. What's next? Your way of life will be what I do, so it will. You know, I've been noticing these airs in you ever since you got that tripos or whatever you call it. If you think I'm going to put up with them, you're mistaken. And the sooner you find out, the better. Oh, I have to say on this subject. Do you know who you're speaking to, miss?
No! Who are you? What are you? Everybody knows my way of life. The profession I intend to pursue. I know nothing about you. What is this way of life which you invite me to share with you and Sir George Crofts, may I ask?
Now you take care, or I'll do something I'll be sorry for after, and you too.
All right. Let's drop the subject until you're better able to cope with it.
Oh, Vivie!
Now, don't begin to cry. I really stand your whimpering. I'll leave the room if you do.
How can you be so hard on me? Have I no rights as your mother?
Are you my mother?
Am I your mother? Vivie!
Then where are our relatives? My father, our family friends. You claim the rights of a mother. The right to call me fool and child. To speak to me as no woman in authority over me at college dare speak to me. To dictate my way of life and to force upon me the acquaintance of a brute whom anyone can see as the most vicious sort of London man about town. Now before I give myself the trouble to resist such claims, I may as well find out whether they have any real truth to them.
Oh, stop it! I am your mother, I swear it! You can't turn on me like this. My own child. It's not natural. You believe me, don't you? Say you believe me.
Who was my father?
You don't know what you're asking. I can't tell you.
Yes, you can if you like. I have a right to know, and you know very well I have that right. You can refuse to tell me if you please. But if you do, you will see the loss of me tomorrow morning.
You couldn't. You couldn't leave me.
Yes, and without a moment's hesitation if you trifle with me about this. How can I be sure that I may not have the contaminated blood of that man in my veins?
No, on my oath, it's not him or anyone else that you've met. I'm certain of that at least.
You are certain of that at least. Do you mean to say that's all you're certain of? Oh, I see. Oh, don't do that, Mother. You know you don't mean it a bit. Well, that is enough for this evening. What time would you like breakfast? Is 8:30 too early for you?
What sort of a woman are you?
Oh, the sort the world is mostly made of, I should hope. Otherwise, I don't understand how it gets its business done. Now come, pull yourself together. That's right.
You're very rough with me, Vivie.
Nonsense. What about bed? It's past 10.
What's the use of my going to bed? Think that I could sleep?
Why not? I will.
You! You've no heart! What right have you to put yourself up above me like this? You boast of what you are to me? To me? Who gave you the chance of being what you are? What chance had I?
Don't think for a moment I set myself above you in any way. You attacked me with the conventional authority of a mother. I defended myself with the conventional superiority of a respectable woman. But frankly, Mother, I am not going to stand any more of your nonsense. And as soon as you drop it, I'll not expect you to stand any of mine. I'll always respect your right to your own opinions and your own way of life.
My own opinions and my own way of life? Oh, listen to yourself. Do you think that I was brought up like you, able to pick and choose my own way of life? Do you think that I did what I did because I liked it, or got it right? Or wouldn't rather gone to college and been a lady if I'd had the chance?
Everybody has a choice, Mother. The poorest girl alive may not be able to choose between being Queen of England or Principal of Newnham, but she can choose between rag picking and flower selling, according to her taste. People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, make them.
It is easy to talk. Very easy, isn't it? Would you like to know what my circumstances were?
Yes, I think you would better tell me. Now won't you sit down?
Oh, I'll sit down. Don't you be afraid. Do you know what your grandmother was?
No.
No, you don't. I do. She called herself a widow and had a fried fish shop. And she kept herself to 4 daughters out of it. 2 of us were sisters. That was me and Liz. We were both good-looking and well-made. I suppose our father was a well-fed man. Mother always pretended that he was a gentleman, but I don't know. Now the other 2 were only half-sisters. Undersized, ugly, starved-looking, hard-working, honest, poor creatures. They were the respectable ones. What did they get by their respectability? I'll tell you. One of them worked in a white-lead factory 12 hours a day for 9 shillings a week until she died of lead poisoning. She only expected to get her hands a little paralyzed. But she died. And the other was always held up to us as a model because she married a government labourer, kept his room and the 3 children neat and tidy on 18 shillings a week until he took to drinking. That was worth being respectable for, wasn't it?
Did you and your sister think so?
Liz didn't. I can tell you, she had more spirit. We both went to a church school. As part of the ladylike airs we gave ourselves to be superior to the children that knew nothing and went nowhere. And we stayed there until Liz went out one night and never came back. I know that schoolmistress thought I'd soon follow her example. The clergyman was always warning me that Lizzie would end up jumping off Waterloo Bridge. Poor fool. That was all he knew about it. But I was more afraid of the white-lead factory than the river. And so would you have been in my place. Well, that clergyman got me a job as a scullery maid in a temperance place. They sent out for anything you'd like. And I was a waitress when I went to the bar, Waterloo Station. 14 hours a day, serving drinks and washing glasses for 4 shillings a week and my board. That was considered a great promotion for me. One cold, wretched. I was so tired I could hardly keep myself awake. Who should come up for half a scotch? But listen, in a long, fur cloak. Oh, she's arrogant, comfortable. A lot of sovereigns in her purse.
My Aunt Lizzie.
Yes. And a very good aunt to have, too. She's living down at Winchester now, close to the cathedral. One of the most respectable things there. She chaperones girls to county ball, if you please. No river for Liz, thank you. You know, you remind me of her a little. She was a first-rate businesswoman. She saved money from the beginning, never let herself feel too late. What she was. She never lost her head, threw away a chance. So when she saw that I'd grown up good looking, she said to me across the bar, "What are you doing then, little fool? Wearing your little health or appearance for other people's profit?" This was saving money then to take a house for herself in Brussels. She thought we too could save faster than one. If she lent me some money, she gave me a start. And I saved steadily, and I paid her back. And then I went into business with her as a partner. Why shouldn't I have done it? The house in Brussels was real high class. A much better place for a woman to be in than that factory where Andy poisoned. None of our girls was ever treated as I was treated at the scullery of that temperance place, or at Waterloo Station, or at home. Would you have had me stay in them and become a worn-out oak drudge before I was 40?
No, but why choose that business? Saving money and good management will succeed in any business.
Saving money? Where can a woman get the money to save in any other business? Could you save out of 4 shillings a week and keep yourself dressed as well? Oh, not you. Of course, you're a plain girl and can't earn anything more. Or if you're turned for music or the stage or newspaper writing, well, that's different. But I don't think so I had any turn for such things. All we had was our appearance and our turn for pleasing men. Do you think that we were such fools as to let other people trade in our good looks by employing us as barmaids, or shop girls, or waitresses, when we could trade in them ourselves and keep all the profits instead of starvation wages? Oh, not likely.
Well, you were certainly quite justified from the business point of view.
Yes, or any other point of view. What is any respectable girl brought up to do but to catch some rich man's fancy and get the benefit of his money by marrying him? The simple marriage ceremony could make any difference in the right or wrong of the thing. Obviously, this world exists. This and I like to work, save, calculate just like other people. Otherwise, we should be as poor as any. Good for nothing, drunken, waster of a woman who thinks her luck will last forever. Ugh, I despise such people with no character. And if there's anything I hate in a woman, it's want of character.
Come now, Mother. Frankly, isn't it part of what you call character in a woman that she should greatly dislike such a way of making money?
Of course, dear. Everybody dislikes having to work and make money. But they have to do it all the same. Oh, I'm sure that I've often pitied a poor girl, tired out, in low spirits, having to try to please some man that she doesn't care 2 straws for, some half-drunken fool who thinks he's making himself agreeable. He's teasing, worrying, disgusting the woman, so that hardly any money could pay for her putting up with it. But she has to bear with disagreeables and take the rough with the smooth, just like anyone else. It's not the sort of work that any woman would do for pleasure, goodness, no. Though to hear the pious people talk, you would suppose it was a bed of roses.
Still, you consider it worthwhile. It pays.
Oh, of course it's worthwhile to a poor girl. She can resist temptation. It's good looking, well conducted and sensible. It's far better than any other employment open to her. But I always thought that oughtn't to be. It isn't right, Vivie. There should be better opportunities for women. It's wrong, but it's so right or wrong. The girl has to make the best of it. Of course, it's not worthwhile for a lady. If you took to it, you would be a fool. But I would have been a fool if I'd taken to anything else.
But Mother, I suppose we were both as poor as you were in those wretched old days. Are you quite certain you wouldn't advise me to try the Waterloo bar, or marry a labourer, or even go into the factory?
Of course not. What sort of a mother do you take me for? How could you keep your self-respect in such starvation and slavery? What's a woman worth? What's life worth without self-respect? Why am I independent and able to give my daughter a first-rate education when other women that have just as good opportunities are in the gutter? Because I always knew how to respect myself, control myself. Vice Liz looked up to in a cathedral town. Same reason. Oh, where would we be now if we minded that clergyman's foolishness? Scrubbing floors for 6 pence a day and nothing to look forward to but the workhouse infirmary. Don't be led astray by people who don't know the world like her. The only way for a woman to provide for herself decently is for to be good to some man that can afford to be good to her. Now, if she's from his own station in life, let her make him marry her. But if she's far beneath him, she can't expect it. Why should she? Ask any lady in London society that has daughters, and she'll tell you the same. Only she'll tell you crooked, and I'll tell you straight. That's the difference.
My dear Mother, you are a wonderful woman. You are stronger than all England. And I really and truly not one wee bit doubtful or ashamed.
Of course, dear. It's only good manners to be ashamed of it. That's what's expected of a woman. Women have to pretend to feel a great deal that they don't feel. Liz used to be so angry with me for plumping up the truth about it. She used to say that when any girl could learn enough from what was going on in the world before her eyes, there was no need to talk to her about it. But then Liz was such a perfect lady. She had the true instinct of it. I was always a bit of a vulgarian. Do you know, I used to be so pleased when you sent me your photographs to see that you were growing up like Liz. You know, I've just turned lame, turned way. And I can't stand saying one thing when everyone knows I mean another. If they arrange the world that way for women, there's no good pretending that it's arranged the other way. You know, I never was a bit ashamed, really. I consider that I had a right to be proud that we managed everything so respectably. Never had a word against us. And our girls were so well taken care of. Some of them did very well. One of them married an ambassador. Of course, I daren't talk about such things. Whatever would they think of us? Oh. I do believe I'm getting sleepy after all.
I believe it is I who will not sleep tonight. Better let in some fresh air before locking up. Oh, what a beautiful night. Look.
Yes, dear. Take care you don't catch your death of cold from the night air.
Oh, nonsense.
Oh, yes, everything I say is nonsense, according to you.
No, really, Mother. That is not so. You got the better of me tonight, though I intended it to be the other way around. Now, let's be good friends.
Oh, so it was the other way. I suppose I'll have to give in to it. I always thought the worst of it from the ladies. Well, I suppose it'll be the same with you.
Well, never mind. Good night.
I thought you were well, didn't I, dearie?
You did.
You'll be good to your poor old mother for it, won't you?
I will. Good night.
Oh, Dr. Vivie. Oh, mothers, bless you.
way.
A fine hour for a rector to come down to breakfast.
Don't mock, Fred. I'm a little,
Off colour.
No, sir. Unwell this morning. Where's your mother?
Not here. Gone to town on the 11:13. Now, she left several messages for you. Do you feel up for receiving them now, or shall I wait till you've had breakfast?
I've had breakfast. I am surprised at your mother going to town and we have people staying with us. They'll think it very strange.
Well, perhaps she's considered that. In any event, if Crofts is going to stay here, and you are going to stay up every night with him until 4, recalling the incidents of your fiery youth, why, it was only my mother's duty as a prudent housekeeper to go up to town and order a barrel of whiskey.
I did not observe that Sir George drank excessively.
You were in no condition to, Gardner.
You mean to say
I never saw a clergyman less sober. Why? The anecdotes that you told of your previous career were so horrible. I really don't think Mr. Praed would have spent the night under our roof if it hadn't been for the way that Mother and he talked to one another.
Nonsense. I am Sir George Crofts' host. I must speak to him about something, and he only knows one subject. Where is Mr. Praed now?
Not here. He's off driving Mother and Bessie up to the station.
Is Crofts up yet?
Ah, long ago. He's had much more practice than you. He's gone off somewhere to smoke.
Frank.
Yes?
Do you think the Warrens will expect to be asked here again after yesterday afternoon?
They've been asked here already.
What?
Yes. Crofts informed us at breakfast that you told him to bring Mrs. Warren and Vivie over here, and to invite them to make this house their home. You know, it was right after that that Mother decided she had to go to town on the 11:13 train.
I never gave any such invitation. I never thought of such a thing.
And how would you know, Governor, what you said and what you thought last night?
Good morning.
Praed!
Good morning. I'm sorry I'll meet you at breakfast. I have a touch of...
Oh, clergyman's sore throat. Fortunately not chronic.
Well, I must say, your house is in a charming spot. You're really very charming.
Yes, it is indeed. Frank will take you for a walk, Mr. Praed, if you like. I'm afraid I must ask you to excuse me. I must take this opportunity to write my sermon while Mrs. Gardner is away and you are all amusing yourselves. You won't mind, will you?
Certainly not. Don't stand on the slightest ceremony with me.
Well, thank you. I'll
Curious thing, it must be writing a sermon every week.
Would be if he didn't. He buys them. He's gone off with some soda water.
My dear boy, you should be more respectful towards your father.
My dear Praed, you forget I have to live with the Governor. Now, when two people live together, and it don't matter whether they're father and son, husband and wife, brother and sister, they just cannot keep up the pretense of being polite to one another for much more than an afternoon. Now, take the Governor, who unites too many admirable domestic qualities. The irresoluteness of a sheep, and the pompousness of a...
My dear Frank, remember, he's your father.
To which I give him due credit. But can you imagine him telling Crofts to bring the Warrens over here? He must have been ever so drunk. You know, Praed, my mother wouldn't tolerate Mrs. Warren for a moment.
But your mother doesn't know anything about Mrs. Warren.
Well, I don't know. Her trip up to town seems to me as if she must. No, not that my mother would mind. She's stuck like a brick to lots of women who've gotten into trouble. They were all nice women. And that is the real difference. Mrs. Warren may have her merits, but she's so rowdy, and my mother simply wouldn't put up with her. So...
Frank! Mrs. Warren and her daughter are coming across the heath with Crofts. I saw it from the study window. What am I to say about your mother?
Well, go on and tell Mrs. Warren and Vivie how delighted you are to see them, and that Frank's in the garden, and that Mother and Bessie have been called to the bedside of a sick relative, and were ever so sorry they couldn't stop. And you hope Mrs. Warren slept well. Tell them any pleasant thing except the truth.
Well, how are we to get rid of them afterwards?
There's no time to worry about that now.
Oh, there.
Off with you. Praed and I will wait here. We really must get that old woman back to town somehow, Praed. Honestly, do you like the thought of seeing them together?
Why not?
Vivie and the old lady. Don't need to make your flesh creep. That wicked old devil up to every girl here under the sun, I swear. And Vivie. No. And you see, Vivie actually has her arm around that old woman's waist. It's her right arm. She started it. Now, do you see how creepy and only to pray, but ever so delighted to see you, Miss Warren. It's this quiet old rectory garden becomes you perfectly.
Did you hear that, George? He says I look well in a quiet old rectory garden.
You look well everywhere, Mrs. Warren.
Oh, bravo, Gardner. Now come, let's all have a jolly time of it before lunch. First, let's see the church. Everyone has to see the church, after all. It's a regular old 13th century church. And the Governor's so fond of it because he set up a restoration fund and had it all completely rebuilt 6 years ago. Praed will be able to point out its architectural highlights.
I would be pleased, I'm sure, if Sir George and Mrs. Warren would really care to see it.
Come on, Sam. Let's get it over with. Come on, George. It'll do you good. I bet he hasn't been inside too many churches in his life.
This way! No,
Ain't you coming?
No. I want to give you a warning, Frank. You were making fun of my mother just now when you said that about the rectory garden. That is barred in the future. You will treat my mother with the same respect you treat your own.
My dear Viv, she would not appreciate it. What's become of you? Last night we were perfectly agreed as to your mother and the situation. This morning, I find you added too nicely sentimentally, with your arm around her waist.
Attitudinizing! Oh.
Well, that was how it struck me. It was the very first time I ever saw you do a second-rate thing.
Yes, Frank, there has been a change. But I don't think it'll change for the worse. Yesterday I was a little prig.
And today?
Today I know my mother better than you do.
Heaven forbid.
What do you mean?
There is a Freemasonry among thoroughly immoral people that you know nothing about. You have too much character. That is the bond between your mother and me, and that is why I know her better than you will ever know her.
No, you're wrong. You knew nothing about her. If you knew the circumstances against which my mother had to struggle...
I should know why she is what she is, shouldn't I? Yeah, what difference would it make? Circumstances or no circumstances, you would not be able to stand your mother.
Why not?
Because she's an old wretch. And if you ever put your arm around her waist in my presence again, I will shoot myself there and then as a protest against exhibition, which revolts me.
Must I choose between dropping your acquaintance and dropping my mother's?
No! I would put the old lady in ever such a disadvantage. Your infatuated little boy is just going to have to stick to you at any rate. He's all the more anxious that you shouldn't make mistakes. It's no use, Viv. Your mother's impossible. She might be a good sort, but she's a bad lot. A very bad lot.
Frank, is she to be deserted by all the world? Because she's what you call a bad lot. Has she no right to live?
There's no worry about Viv. She won't ever be deserted.
No, but I am to desert her, I suppose.
It's Crofts.
Could I have a few words with you, Miss Vivie?
Certainly.
You'll excuse me, Gardner. They're waiting for you in the church, if you don't mind.
Anything to oblige you, Crofts. Except church. If you need anything, Viv, just ring the gate bell.
no. This Vivie, isn't it? Pity he has no money.
Do you think so?
Well, what's he to do? No profession, no property. What's he good for?
I realize his disadvantages, Sir George.
Oh, well, it's not that. That's why we're in this world, we're in it, and money is money. Lovely day, isn't it?
Very.
Yes, well, that's not what I came to say. Now, listen, Miss Vivie, I'm quite aware that I'm not a young lady's man.
Indeed, Sir George.
No, and to tell the honest truth, I don't want to be either. But when I say something, I mean it. When I feel sentiment, I feel it in earnest. And what I value, I pay hard money for. I mean, that's the sort of man I am.
Oh, but it does you great credit, I'm sure.
Yes, well, I don't need to praise myself. I have my faults, heaven knows. I'm maybe more sensible of that than I am. I know I'm not perfect. That's one of the advantages of being a middle-aged man, you see. I'm not a young man, I know, but my code is a simple one, and I think a good one. Honor between man and man. Fidelity between man and woman. I don't care about this religion or that religion, but an honest belief that things are making for good on the whole.
A power, not ourselves, that makes for righteousness, huh?
Oh, yes, certainly. Well, not ourselves, of course. Well, you know what I mean. Yes. Well, now as to practical matters, you may have the idea that I've flung my money about, but I haven't. I'm richer today than when I first came into the property. I use my knowledge of the world to invest my money in ways that other men have overlooked. And whatever else I may be, I'm a safe man from the money point of view.
It's very kind of you to tell me all this.
Yes. Now, come, Miss Vivie, you needn't pretend you don't see what I'm driving at. I want to settle down with the Lady Crofts. Suppose you think I'm rather blunt, eh?
Oh, no. I am much obliged to you for being so definite and businesslike. I quite appreciate the offer, the money, the position, Lady Crofts, and so on. But I think I will say no. If you don't mind, I'd rather not.
Well, I'm in no hurry. It was only just to let you know in case young Gardner there tries to trap you. Leave the question open.
My no is final. I won't go back on it.
I'm a good deal older than you. 25 years. Quarter of a century. Shan't live forever, but I shall take care that you'll be well off after I'm gone.
Oh, I am proof against even that inducement, Sir George. Don't you think you'd better take your answer? There is not the slightest chance of my altering it.
Well, no matter. I could tell you some things that would change your mind fast enough, but I won't. I'd rather win you by honest affection. I was a good friend to your mother, ask her whether I wasn't. She'd have never made the money to pay for your education if it hadn't been for my advice and help. There aren't many men who have stood by her as I have. I put not less than £40,000 into it from first to last.
Do you mean to say you were my mother's business partner?
Yes. Now, don't you see? Just think of all the trouble and explanation it would save if we were to keep the whole thing in the family, so to speak. Ask your mother whether she'd like to have to explain all her affairs to the
I see no difficulty, since I understand the business is wound up and the money invested.
Wound up? Wind up a business that's paid 35% in the worst years? Not likely. Who told you that?
You mean to say that it is still... What business are you talking about?
Oh, well, the fact is, it's not what would be considered exactly a high-class business. Not that there's any mystery to it, don't think that. And of course, you know, by your mother being in it, it's perfectly straight and on. I know her for many years, and I could say of her, she'd cut off her hands so that didn't touch anything that wasn't what it ought to be. I could tell you all about it if you like. Now, I don't know if you found in traveling how difficult it is to find a really comfortable private hotel.
Yes, go on.
Yeah, well, that's all it is, really. And your mother has a genius for managing such things. Now, we have 2 in Brussels, 1 in Berlin, 1 in Vienna, and 2 in Budapest. And your mother, oh, of course, there are others in besides ourselves, but we hold most of the capital. And your mother is just indispensable as a managing director. Now, you notice, I dare say, that your mother travels a good deal. But you see, you can't mention that in society, because once you let out the word hotel, and everybody says you keep a public house. Well, you wouldn't want people to say that of your mother, would you? That's why we've been so reserved about it. But by the way, you'll keep this all to yourself, won't you? Since it's been a secret so long, it had best remain so.
And this is the business you invite me to join you in.
Oh, no. My wife won't be troubled with business. You'll not be in it any more than you've always been.
I've always been. What do you mean?
Well, only that you've always lived on it, and it's paid for the education and the dress you have on your back. Oh, don't turn up your nose at business, Miss Vivie. After all, what would those noodles and curtains be without it?
Oh, take care. I know what this business is.
Who told you?
Your partner, my mother.
She ought to have had more consideration for you. I would have never told you.
I think you would probably have told me when we were married. It would have been a convenient weapon to break me in with.
I never intended that. On my word as a gentleman, I did.
But it wouldn't matter if you did. I suppose you understand that when we leave here today, our acquaintance ceases.
But why? For helping your mother?
My mother was a very poor woman who had no reasonable choice but to do as she did. You were a rich gentleman, and you did the same for the sake of 35%. You were a pretty common sort of scoundrel, I think. That is my opinion of you.
Whoa, go for it, little missy, go for it. It does me no harm, and it seems to amuse you. Why the hell shouldn't I invest my money that way? I take the interest on my capital like others. I hope you don't think I dirty my own hands with the work. Now come, Miss Vivie. Now, you wouldn't refuse the acquaintance of my mother's cousin, the Duke of Belgravia, because some of the rents he gets are earned in odd ways. You wouldn't cut the Archbishop of Canterbury, I suppose, because the ecclesiastical commissioners have a few publicans and sinners among their tenants. Do you remember your Crofts scholarship? Well, that was founded by my brother. Now, he gets 22% out of a factory with 600 girls in it, and not one of them earning wages enough to live on. How do you suppose most of them manage? Ask your mother. You expect me to turn my back on 35% when all the rest are puffing what they can like sensible men? Huh, no such fool. If you're going to pick and choose your acquaintances on moral principles, Miss Vivie, you had better clear out of this country. Unless you want to cut yourself out of all decent society.
You might go on to point out that I myself never asked where the money I spent came from. I believe I am just as bad as you.
Of course you are. What do you think you? What harm does it do after all? So you don't think he's a scoundrel now that you come to think it over,
I have shared profits with you! And I admitted you just now to the familiarity of knowing what I think of you!
To be sure you did. You won't find me such a bad soul, Miss Vivie. I don't go in for being superfine intellectually, but I have plenty of honest human feeling. And the old Crofts breed comes out in a sort of instinctive hatred of anything low, in which I'm sure you will sympathize with me. Oh, believe me, Miss Vivie, the world is in such a bad place. So long as you don't fly openly in the face of society, society doesn't ask any inconvenient questions. And it makes precious short work of the cads who do. There are no secrets better kept than the secrets everybody guesses. In the society I can introduce you to, no lady or gentleman will so far forget themselves as to discuss my business affairs or your mother's. No man can offer you a safer position.
I suppose you really think you're getting on famously with me, don't you?
Yes, well, I like to flatter myself that you did it first.
I hardly mind you were thinking about at all now. When I think of the society that tolerates you and the laws that protect you, when I think of how helpless 9 out of 10 young girls would be in the hands of you and my mother, the unmentionable woman and her capitalist bully.
You think I'm going to put up with this on you?
Quiet, somebody may answer the bell.
Now, will you handle the rifle bit, or shall I operate it?
Zane, have you been listening?
Oh, only for the bell, I assure you.
It seems to show great insight as to your character, Crofts.
2 pins, I take that gun away from you and break it across your head.
Oh, please don't. I'm ever so careless in handling firearms. Why, this should be a fatal accident with a reprimand from the coroner's jury for my negligence.
Put the rifle away, Frank. It's quite unnecessary.
Quite right, Viv. And a more sportsmanlike to catch him in a trap.
Crofts, I am a dead shot at the present distance of an object of your size.
You needn't be afraid. I'm not going to touch you.
Well, ever so magnanimous under the circumstances, thank you.
But I will say this before I go. It may interest you, since you're both so fond of one another. Allow me, Mr. Frank, to introduce you to your half-sister, the eldest daughter of the Reverend Samuel Gardner. Miss Vivie, your half-brother. Good morning.
You'll testify before the coroner that it was an accident, Viv.
Stop!
Viv? Viv, where are you going?
The glory of Fraser's Chambers! 67 Chancery Lane for the rest of my life!
Viv, wait!
Thought you had all the answers to rest your heart upon, but something happens to see it coming now. You can't stop yourself. Now you're out there swimming deep, deep. Life keeps tumbling hard in circles, but you let go. Shed your pride and climb to heaven, and you throw yourself out. Now you're out there swimming deep, deep, deep.
Why have you come here?
Waiting for you. Now, I have been here for hours. Is this how you attend to your business?
Well, I have been away exactly 20 minutes. How did you get in?
Your assistant was here when I arrived. He's gone off to play football on Primrose Hill. Honey, why don't you employ a woman? Give your sex a chance.
What have you come for?
See here, Viv. Let's go and enjoy the Saturday half-holiday somewhere, like the staff. What do you say to Richmond, and then a music hall, and then a jolly supper?
I can't afford it. I have to put in another 6 hours.
Oh, can't afford it, can we? Ah. Look here. Gold, Viv. Gold.
Where did you get it?
Gambling. Poker.
Yeah. Ah, it's meaner than stealing it. No, I'm not coming.
Yeah, Viv, I want to talk to you ever so seriously.
Very well. Sit down in Honoria's chair and talk here. I have 10 minutes. No use groaning. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, I want to know what you've done. What arrangements you've made.
No, everything was settled 20 minutes after I arrived here. Honoria has found the business too much for her this year, and she was on the point of sending for me and proposing a partnership when I walked in the door. So I installed myself and packed her off for a fortnight's holiday. What happened at Haslemere when I left?
Nothing at all. I said you got to town on business.
Well?
Well, either everyone was too flabbergasted to say anything, or else Crofts had prepared your mother. Anyhow, she didn't say anything. He didn't say anything, and Praed only stared. After tea, we all got up and left. I haven't seen them since. Do you really intend to stay in this confounded place?
Yes. These last 2 days have given me back all my strength and self-confidence. I will never take a holiday again as long as I live.
Well, You look very happy. And hard as nails.
Oh, well for me that I am.
Look here, Viv, I must have an explanation. We parted the other day under a complete misunderstanding.
Well, clear it up then.
You remember what Crofts said?
Yes.
Well, that revelation was supposed to bring about a complete change in the nature of our feelings for one another. Put us on the footing of brother and sister.
Yes.
Have you ever had a brother?
No.
Well, then you don't know what being brother and sister feels like. I myself have lots of sisters. That fraternal feeling is quite familiar to me. And I assure you, my feelings for you are nothing in the world like it. The girls will go their way, I will go mine, and we won't care whether any of us ever sees each other again. That is brother and sister. As for you, I can't be happy if I have to go a week without seeing you. That's not brother and sister. That's what I felt an hour before Crofts made his revelation.
The same feeling, Frank, that brought your father to my mother's feet. Is that it?
I'm very much objective to have my feelings compared to any which the Reverend Samuel is capable of harboring. I object still more to a comparison between you and your mother. Besides, I don't believe the story. I taxed my father with it, and have achieved from him what I consider tantamount to a denial.
What did he say?
He said he was sure there must be some mistake.
And do you believe him?
I'm prepared to take his word for Crofts.
Does it make any real difference?
None whatsoever to me.
Nor to me.
This is surprising. I thought our whole relationship was altered the moment those words went out of that brute's muzzle.
No, it wasn't that. I didn't believe him. I only wish I could.
What?
I think brother and sister would be a very suitable relation for us.
You really mean that?
Yes. It's the only relation I care for. Even if we could afford another. I mean that. It's Praed. He's going to Italy and wants to say goodbye. I asked him to call such.
Ah, my dear boy, delighted to see you.
How are you, Praed? Come in.
Oh, how do you do, Miss Warren? I start off in an hour, and I wish I could get you to try it.
What for?
Why? To saturate yourself in the romance and beauty, of course.
No use there, Praed. Viv is a little Philistine. Why, she's indifferent to my romance and sensible to my beauty.
Mr. Praed, once and for all, there is no beauty and no romance in life for me. Life is what it is, but I am prepared to take it as it is.
You wouldn't say that if you came to Verona, then on to Venice. You would cry with delight at being alive in such a beautiful world.
Most eloquent, Praed. Keep it up.
At your age, Miss Warren, you wouldn't even need to go as far as Verona. Your spirits would absolutely fly up at the mere sight of Ostend. You would be charmed with the vivacity and happy air of Brussels. Something the matter?
Can you find no better example of your beauty and romance than Brussels to talk to me about?
Well, it is very different from Verona. I don't mean to suggest...
You know, probably the beauty and romance come to much the same in both places.
My dear Miss Warren, is anything the matter?
Well, she finds your enthusiasm frivolous, Praed.
Hold your tongue, Frank.
This is what you call good manners, Praed.
Shall we take our leave, Miss Warren? I feel sure that we have disturbed you at your work.
Sit down. I am not ready to go back to work yet. You both think I have an attack of nerves? Not a bit. But there are two subjects I want dropped, if you don't mind. One of them is love, in any shape or form. The other is the romance and beauty of life, especially as exemplified by the gaiety of Brussels. You are welcome to any illusions you may have to these subjects. I have none. If we three are to remain friends, I must be treated as a woman of business, permanently single and permanently unromantic.
There's a touch of poetry about you today, Viv, which has hitherto been lacking.
My dear Frank, aren't you being a little unsympathetic?
No, it's good for me. Keeps me from being sentimental.
Checks your strong natural propensity that way, don't it?
Oh yes, go on, don't spare me. I was sentimental for one moment in my life. Beautifully sentimental by moonlight, and now...
Take care. Don't give yourself away.
Do you think Mr. Praed does not know all about my mother? It would have been better had you told me that morning, Mr. Praed. You are very old-fashioned in your delicacies, after all.
Surely it is you who are a little old-fashioned in your prejudices, Miss Warren. I feel bound to tell you this, speaking as an artist, and though I know that the most intimate of human relationships are far above and beyond the scope of the law, that though I know your mother gave birth to you when she was an unmarried woman, I do not respect her less on that account. I respect her more.
Yeah.
Is that all you know?
Certainly, that is all.
Then neither of you know anything. You are not making it easy for me to tell you, Mr. Praed. Here. Let me draft you a prospectus. You shall see. Paid up capital not less than £40,000.
She's gone mad.
Standing in the name of Sir George Crofts, the chief shareholder. Premises in Brussels.
Do you hear? Put yourself together.
Forget. Oh, yes. Berlin, Vienna, and Budapest. Managing Director, Mrs. Kitty Warren. And now, let us not forget her qualifications. There.
Oh. My dear Kitty, come in.
What? You're here, are you?
I'm delighted to see you. You come like a breath of spring.
Get out. Oh dear, here you are at last.
I'm glad you've come, Mother. I wanted to speak with you.
Oh,
Sit down, Mother. Mr. Praed, will you take Frank with you?
Goodbye, Miss Warren. Goodbye, Kitty.
Goodbye and a pleasant trip.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope so. Come on, Frank.
Come on, Mrs. Warren. Bye, Viv.
Goodbye.
Vivie, what did you go off like that for without saying a word to me? Why would you do such a thing? What have you done to poor George? I wanted him to come with me, but he backed out. And I could see that he was quite afraid of you. Only fancy, he wanted me not to come. As if I should be afraid of you too, dearie. But of course I told him that it was all settled and comfortable between us and that we were on the best of terms. But, Vivie, what's this here? I brought it from the bank this morning.
It is my monthly allowance. They sent it to me as usual the other day. I simply sent it back to be credited to your account. In the future, I'll support myself.
Well, why didn't you tell me? Wasn't it enough? I'll double it. You know, I was intending to double it. Only let me know how much you want.
You know very well that that has nothing to do with it. From this point forward, I go my own way in my own business and among my own friends. And you will go yours.
Vivie,
Don't let
I
us make a scene, Mother. You understand perfectly well. Sir George Crofts has explained the whole business to me.
Oh, he ought to have his tongue cut out. But I explained it all to you, and you said you didn't mind.
Excuse me, I do mind.
But I explained.
You explained how it all came about. You did not tell me it was still going on.
Vivie, do you know how rich I am?
I have no doubt you are very rich.
But you don't know all that means. You're too young. It means a new dress every day. It means theatres and parties every night. It means having the pick of all the gentlemen in Europe at your feet. It means a lovely home, plenty of servants. It means the choicest of eating and drinking. It means everything you want, everything you like, everything that you can think of. And what are you here? You're a mere drudge, toiling and moiling early and late for a bare living and 2 cheap dresses a year. Think about it. You're shocked, I know. I can understand your feelings, and I think that they do you credit. But trust me, nobody will blame you. You have my word on that. Now, I know what young girls are, but I know that you'll think better of it when you've turned it over in your mind.
So that's how it's done, is it, Mother? You must have said that to many a young woman, to have it down so pat.
What harm am I asking you to do? Vivie, listen to me. You don't understand. You've been taught wrong on purpose. You don't know what the world is really like.
Taught wrong on purpose? What do you mean?
I mean that you're throwing away all your chances for nothing. You think that people are what they pretend to be. That the way we're taught at school and college to be right and proper is the way that things really are. But it's not. It's only a pretense to keep the cowardly, slavish, common run of people quiet. Do you want to find that out? Like other women at 40? You've thrown yourself away and lost your chances? Or won't you take it in good time now from your own mother who loves you and swears to you that it's the truth? Vivie, the big people, the clever people, the managing people, they all know it. They do what I do and think what I think. I know plenty of them. I know them to speak to introduce you to make friends of for you. I don't mean anything wrong. That's what you don't understand. Your head is so full of ignorant ideas about me. What do the people that ever taught you know about life or about people like me? Or did they ever meet me or speak to me? Or let anyone tell them about me? The fools! Would they ever have done anything for you if I hadn't paid them? Haven't I told you? I want you to be respectable. Haven't I brought you up to be respectable? How can we keep it up without my money and my influence and Lizzie's friends? Can't you see that you are cutting your own throat, as well as breaking my heart and turning your back on me?
I recognize the Crofts' philosophy of life, Mother. I heard it all from him that day at the Gardner.
Don't you think I want to force that plain old sock on you? I don't, baby, on my oath, I
It
don't!
wouldn't matter if you did! You wouldn't succeed! You don't know at all the sort of person I am! I don't object to the Crofts of this world more than to any other coarsely built man of his class. To tell you the truth, I rather admire him for being strong-minded enough to enjoy himself in his own way and make plenty of money, instead of living the usual shooting, hunting, dining out, tailoring, loafing life of his set, merely because all the rest do it. Oh, and I am perfectly aware that if I had been brought up in the same circumstances as my Aunt Liz, I'd have done exactly what she did. I don't think I'm any more prejudiced or straight-laced than you are. I think I'm less. I'm certain I'm less sentimental. I know very well that fashionable morality is all a pretense, and that if I took your money and devoted the rest of my life to spending it fashionably, I might be as worthless and vicious as the silliest woman could possibly want to be without having a word said to me about it. But I don't want to be worthless! I shouldn't enjoy trotting about the barn to advertise my dressmaker and carriage builder, or being bored at the opera to show off a shop window full of diamonds. Wait a moment, I'm not done! Tell me why you continue in your business now that you are independent of it. Your sister, you told me, has left that all behind her. Why don't you do the same?
It's all very easy with Liz. She likes high society. She has the air of being a lady. But I must have work and excitement or I go mad. And what else is there for me to do? This life suits me. Fit for it, not for anything else. But if I didn't do it, somebody else would, so I don't do any real harm by it. Then, too, brings in money. I like making money. It's no use. I can't give it up. Not for anybody. But what do you need to know about it? I'll never mention it. I'll keep Crofts away. I really won't trouble you much, you see. I'll be constantly running about from one place to another. You'll be free of me altogether when I die.
No! I am my mother's daughter! I am like you. I must have work and make more money than I spend. But my work is not your work, and my way is not your way. We must part. Will not make any real difference to us. Instead of meeting one another for perhaps a few months in 20 years, we'll never meet, that's all.
Vivie, I meant to have been more with you. I did.
It's no use, Mother. I won't be changed by a few cheap tears and entreaties any more than you would, I dare say.
You call a mother's tears cheap?
They cost you nothing. And you ask me to give you the peace and quiet of my whole life in exchange for them. What use would my company be to you if you could get it? What have we two in common that could make either of us happy together?
We're mother and daughter. I want my daughter. I will write to you. Just to care for me when I'm old. Plenty of girls have taken to me like daughters and cried at leaving me, but I let them all go because I had you to look forward to. I get myself lonely for you. You've no right to turn your back on me now and refuse to do your duty as a daughter.
My duty as a daughter. I thought we'd come to that. Now, once and for all, Mother, you want a daughter, and Frank wants a wife. I don't want a mother, and I don't want a husband. I have spared neither Frank nor myself in sending him about his business. Do you think I will spare you?
You the sort you are. No mercy for yourself or anyone else. I know. My experience has done that for me anyhow. But keep yourself to yourself. I don't want you. But you listen to this. Do you know what I would do with you if you were a baby again?
Strangle me, perhaps?
No. I would bring you up to be a real daughter to me. Not what you are now with your pride and your prejudice and the college education that you stole from me. Yes, stole! Denied if you want what wasn't but stealing. I'd bring you up in my own house. I would.
In one of your own houses?
Listen to her! Listen to how she spits on our mother's grey hairs! Did you live to have your own daughter tear and trample on you the way that you've trampled on me? And you will! You will! No woman ever had luck with a mother's curse on her head.
I wish you wouldn't rant, Mother. It only hardens me. Now come. I suppose I am the only young woman you ever had in your power that you did good to. Don't spoil it all now.
Yes. Heaven forgive me, it's true. And you are the only one who has ever turned on me. I always wanted to be a good woman. I tried honest work. I was slave-driven till I cursed the day I ever heard of honest work. I was a good mother. Because I raised my daughter to be a good woman. She turns me out as if I was a leper. If I only had my life to live over again. Talk to that lying clergyman in the school. From this time forth, heaven help me in my last hour. I'll do wrong. Nothing but wrong, and I'll prosper on it.
Yes. It's better to choose your line and go through with it. And if I'd been you, I probably probably would have done the exact same thing. But I wouldn't have lived one life and believed in another. You're a conventional woman at heart, Mother. And that's why I'm bidding you goodbye. I'm right, am I not?
Right to throw away all my money?
No. Quite to be rid of you. I'd be a fool not to. Isn't that so?
Yes. Yes. I suppose you are. But Lord help the world if everyone took to doing the right thing. I suppose I'd better go, rather than stay where I'm not wanted.
Won't you shake hands?
No. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.